picture the scenario, right? Because I guarantee you have lived it.
Oh, I'm sure I have.
You are standing in a crowded room. Maybe it is a networking event, or maybe it's a friend of a friend's birthday party.
Right.
Or honestly, maybe it's just the waiting area of a local coffee shop. You are holding a beverage, which is probably lukewarm at this point, and you are just staring at your phone.
Doing the classic fake scroll.
Exactly. You aren't actually reading anything on your phone. You are just aggressively swiping back and forth between your home screens so you look busy.
Yeah, we all do it.
You are surrounded by other human beings, but the invisible wall between you and them feels roughly 10 feet thick and made of reinforced steel.
It really does.
Because you want to talk to someone. You genuinely want to connect. But the sheer physical discomfort of, just making eye contact and saying hello feels insurmountable.
Completely impossible in the moment.
And why is that? Because usually when we talk about universal human experiences, we think about eating or sleeping or, I don't know, that sharp physical shock of stubbing your toe in the dark.
Right, the basics.
But there is this other deeply universal human experience that is surprisingly, agonizingly difficult. And that is making a new friend as an adult.
It is. It really is the ultimate modern paradox.
A paradox? How so?
Well, think about it. We possess this unparalleled biological imperative to socialize. I mean, we have evolved complex vocal cords, right? We have these intricate facial muscles designed solely to signal empathy to one another.
Yeah, we're literally built for it.
Exactly. Our brains are wired for highly sophisticated language. Yet, despite being anatomically engineered for connection, the actual mechanics of initiating a relationship often leave us totally paralyzed.
Paralyzed in that crowded room.
Yes, clinging to a smartphone like a life raft.
Man, that is the exact feeling we are taking apart today. Welcome to the Deep Dive, everyone.
Glad to be here.
Today, we are going to unpack the hidden architecture of human connection. We are moving way past that generic advice of, just put yourself out there.
Which is terrible advice, by the way.
It really is, because it's not that simple. We are going to explore the evolutionary biology that makes rejection feel like physical pain, and the specific neuroscience of why our brains actively sabotage us with social anxiety.
Which is fascinating.
And we'll look at the deeply misunderstood mechanics of small talk, which, spoiler alert, is actually an incredible survival tool, plus the linguistic keys that open doors to real vulnerability.
We have a lot of ground to cover.
We do. And finally, we just have to look at how the digital age has completely hijacked our biological reward systems. It makes us feel simultaneously hyper-connected and utterly alone.
Right. We are really dissecting the analytical side of human warmth today. We need to look at the why and the how.
Exactly.
Like, how does a simple conversation about the weather physically alter your nervous system? Why does the adult environment inherently discourage the formation of deep bonds?
That's the stuff we need to figure out.
Because understanding the machinery behind these behaviors, well, that's the first step to actually dismantling that invisible 10-foot steel wall you described earlier.
I love that. So, to you listening right now, before we jump into the deep end, I want you to just think about your own life for a second.
Take a quick mental inventory.
Yeah. When was the last time you made a truly new friend? And I'm not talking about like a coworker you tolerate because you sit next to them.
Or someone whose stories you just watch online.
Right. I mean, a genuinely new, grounded connection. Hold on to that memory, or honestly, the lack thereof. Because this entire exploration is fundamentally about your own social survival.
It really is about survival.
So let's start at the absolute baseline. Why is having friends not just a nice to have, but an absolute necessity? Like, why does our body care so much?
Well, to understand that, we actually have to look backward. Evolutionarily speaking.
Okay, take us back.
Back in the day, a human being isolated from the tribe was, quite frankly, a dead human being.
Oh, wow. Straight to the point.
It's true. I mean, we do not have claws. We are not particularly fast. We do not have thick hides to protect us from predators.
We are basically soft, slow snacks.
Exactly. Our primary survival mechanism has always been cooperation. So our brains evolved to view social isolation not just as an emotional bummer, but as a severe, impending physical threat.
A physical threat, just from being alone.
Yes. Psychologists and neuroscientists have mapped this out beautifully. When you feel lonely, your body actually increases its level of cortisol.
And that's the stress hormone, right?
Right, the primary stress hormone. It triggers widespread inflammation in your body. Your nervous system literally shifts into a low-grade state of fight or flight.
Just from feeling lonely.
Because it assumes that without a tribe, you are vulnerable to an attack.
Wait, I am struggling with that a bit. Are you saying that, let's say, when I spend a whole weekend alone in my apartment just feeling mildly lonely, my body is physically reacting as if a saber-toothed tiger is circling my building?
On a neurochemical level, yes.
That is wild.
The scale is obviously different, but the mechanism is identical. In fact, functional MRI scans have shown that social rejection and physical pain actually share the exact same neural pathways.
Wait, really? The same pathways?
Yes, specifically in a region called the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex.
The dorsal anterior. Okay, that is a mouthful.
Let's just call it the pain center. When you stub your toe, that area lights up on the scan.
Right, which makes sense.
But when you are excluded from a group, or you feel deeply isolated, that exact same area lights up. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between physical injury and social ostracization.
It processes loneliness as physical trauma.
It absolutely does.
So when people say a rejection hurt, they aren't just being poetic. Like, their brain is actually processing it like a physical blow.
It is a physiological reality, which honestly brings us to the flip side of this whole thing. If isolation is pain, connection is medicine.
I like the sound of that.
When you engage in positive social interactions, your brain releases oxytocin and endorphins.
The feel-good chemical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these act as natural painkillers and stress reducers. But what is truly remarkable is that you do not even need a profound, soul-bearing conversation to trigger this release.
You don't.
No. Research demonstrates that even micro-interactions can do it.
What's a micro-interaction? Like just saying hi.
Yeah, genuine smile from a barista when you get your coffee. Or a brief chat with a stranger on a bus. Those tiny moments can demonstrably lower your heart rate, decrease your cortisol, and improve your overall mood.
So a tiny chat shifts your whole brain chemistry. You are basically getting a micro dose of safety.
That is a perfect way to phrase it. You are basically signaling to your ancient tribal brain, hey, I am acknowledged, I am part of the group, I am safe.
Okay, that makes sense. But if we are biologically wired to crave this, and if getting it provides such an incredible neurological reward, why does it feel like climbing Mount Everest to make a friend once you hit the age of 25?
Yes.
Ah.
The age cliff.
Right, because when we were kids, it was effortless. You just walked up to someone on the playground and said, like, I like dinosaurs, and boom, you were best friends for the next decade.
Well, the playground is the key word there.
The playground.
Yes. When we are young, we benefit from a sociological concept called propinquity.
Propinquity. That's a good word. What does it mean?
It refers to the physical and psychological proximity between people. Schools are essentially propinquity engines.
Just forcing kids together.
Exactly. You are placed in a closed environment with a group of peers who are the exact same age as you. You are going through the exact same developmental milestones
5 days a week.
for years. You have repeated, unplanned interactions constantly. You share vulnerabilities like a difficult math test or a strict teacher.
Right, the trauma of middle school math.
Exactly. You don't really have to try to make friends. The environment manufactures them for you.
The environment does all the heavy lifting. I always think of school friendships like a subscription service you're automatically opted into.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Yeah, you don't have to think about it. The content just arrives at your door every day. But adulthood is like being handed a box of microchips and a soldering iron and being told to build your own custom software from scratch.
Yes, that is exactly it.
You have to source the materials yourself. You have to write the code. And you have to constantly run maintenance updates so the whole thing doesn't crash.
That analogy captures the shift perfectly. You transition from an environment of convenience friendships to effort friendship.
Effort friendships? Man, that sounds exhausting.
It is. As adults, our lives become highly compartmentalized. We drive from our private home in our private car to our specific cubicle, and then we drive back again.
The organic, unplanned overlaps just disappear.
Completely. So to make friends, you have to actively seek out new arenas. You have to intentionally place yourself in environments where that propinquity can actually occur.
Like where?
Well, the gym, a recreational sports league, maybe a community class.
But let me push back on something here. What about the workplace as an arena for this? I mean, we spend 40 hours a week with our coworkers. That is immense proximity.
It is a lot of proximity, yes.
So are those genuine effort friendships? Or is the workplace just like a hostage situation with a paycheck, where we just trauma bond over bad coffee and tight deadlines?
You've hit on the exact evolutionary glitch of the modern workplace right there.
A glitch.
Yes. It mimics the tribal environment. It has shared proximity, shared goals, a hierarchical
It
structure.
really does look like a tribe on paper.
And because of that, It is where a vast majority of adults attempt to forge connections. However, the psychological safety required for a true friendship is often compromised by the competitive nature of capitalism.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Right. Because can you be truly vulnerable with someone who might be competing for the exact same promotion as you?
Right. You can't exactly tell your work friend about your deep-seated insecurities if they might inadvertently use that information in a performance review.
Precisely the issue. So the true test of a workplace connection is portability.
Portability, like taking it to go.
Exactly. Can this relationship exist outside the context of the office? If you remove the shared stressor of the job, do you actually have anything in common with this person?
That is a tough question to answer sometimes.
It is. Transitioning a coworker to a true friend requires moving the interaction to a neutral environment, getting coffee on a weekend, or going for a hike. And that is where the active effort comes in.
Which naturally leads us to the biggest, most terrifying hurdle.
Social anxiety.
Yes. Let's say we understand the biology, right? We know we need the oxytocin. We know we have to leave our private, compartmentalized lives and go to a neutral space, like a local bookstore or a pottery class, to put in the effort.
Step one complete.
But what actually stops us from just walking up to someone at that pottery class and talking to them?
Well, we run headfirst into our own defense mechanisms, namely that social anxiety.
It is like a biological alarm system, and it is so loud. And honestly, it seems completely irrational. Why do I start sweating when I just think about asking the person next to me what book they are reading?
It feels irrational in the modern context, but you have to remember, it is deeply rational in an evolutionary one.
Back to the tribe again.
Always back to the tribe. Social anxiety is almost entirely driven by the fear of negative evaluation, the fear of judgment.
We hate being judged.
Let's look at our hunter-gatherer tribe again. In a group of 50 people, your reputation was basically your currency.
If people didn't like you, you were in trouble.
Exactly. If you acted out of turn, or if you approached someone inappropriately, or if the group judged you negatively, you risked ostracization.
And as we established earlier, ostracization equals death.
Exactly. The region of your brain responsible for threat detection, the amygdala, well, it hasn't received the software update that tells it we now live in cities of millions of people.
It missed the patch notes.
It really did. It still operates on tribal rules. So when you contemplate approaching a stranger in a bookstore, your neocortex, which is the logical part of your brain, knows that the worst that can happen is just a brief, awkward rejection.
Right, my logic says who cares?
But your amygdala is screaming, if this person rejects us, the entire village will cast us out and we will starve in the wilderness.
Wow. So it triggers a physiological stress response just to stop you from taking the social risk?
It does. It physically tries to stop you.
So my brain is essentially self-sabotaging out of this misplaced sense of protection. My sweaty palms and my racing heart are really just my body trying to keep me safe from an imaginary exile.
That is the tragic irony of it all. The very system designed to keep you safe within the tribe is now actively preventing you from finding a tribe in the modern world.
That is incredibly frustrating.
It is vital to understand, though, that this is a widespread, perfectly normal physiological reaction. Normalizing this feeling is the very first step in dismantling it.
So just knowing it's normal helps.
Tremendously. When you feel that spike of panic, cognitive reframing can be incredibly powerful. Just acknowledging to yourself, my brain is just trying to protect me, but there is no actual physical threat here. That begins to downregulate the amygdala.
But wait a second. If everyone has this exact same outdated alarm system in their head,
They do.
and if we are all walking around terrified of being judged, doesn't that mean the person I'm trying to talk to is probably locked in the exact same internal panic room?
Yes. You have just perfectly described the great silent standoff of modern society.
Man, it's heartbreaking when you really think about it.
It is.
You can literally have two people sitting next to each other on a train commute every single day for a year.
Happens all the time.
They both feel isolated, they both crave that neurochemical reward of connection, but they just sit in complete silence staring at their phones because they are mutually paralyzed by the exact same fear of each other's judgment.
They're both just waiting for the other person to signal that it is safe.
It is a mutual hostage situation of the mind.
A great way to put it. And the only way to break that standoff is for one person to consciously override their amygdala and send out a signal of safety.
Okay, but how do we actually do that? Because knowing I should break the standoff and actually doing it in real life are two very different things.
Oh, absolutely.
If jumping straight into a deep conversation triggers the alarm bells, what is the workaround?
The workaround is actually one of the most culturally maligned yet sociologically brilliant tools in human history.
Drum roll, please. Small talk.
Small talk. The conversational equivalent of plain oatmeal.
People really do hate it.
We all complain about it. We all say we hate small talk, and we just want to dive into deep, meaningful conversations.
Right, but people claim to hate small talk because they fundamentally misunderstand its function.
How so?
They judge it purely on the transfer of information, which is, admittedly, very low.
Right. When I ask someone about the weather, I don't really care about the barometric pressure.
Exactly. You aren't actually looking for a meteorological report. You have a weather app on your phone for that. The actual information is irrelevant.
So what is the point then?
Small talk is an emotional mechanism, not an informational one.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
If I'm not asking about the rain because I care about the rain, what am I actually doing?
Think of it like sonar on a submarine. Okay, I like this analogy. Go on.
A submarine moving through dark, unknown waters sends out these low-frequency acoustic pings to map the environment.
Right. Checking for obstacles.
It bounces sound waves off the surroundings to check for hostile terrain or hidden dangers. Small talk is human sonar.
Human sonar. Wow.
When you say, "Can you believe how much it rained last night?" you are sending out a low-stakes acoustic ping. You are mapping the emotional topography of the stranger next to you.
That is brilliant. So I am pinging them to see how they react.
Exactly.
They grunt and look away. Well, the sonar just mapped a hostile emotional terrain. I know not to steer my conversational ship in that direction.
You avoid a collision?
But if they smile and say, I know, my basement almost flooded, the sonar returns a clear path.
Precisely. You are testing their receptivity without risking significant vulnerability.
That makes so much sense.
Because if you walk up to a stranger and immediately ask them about, say, their greatest childhood regret, that is a massive social risk.
Yeah, that would be terrifying.
It is too heavy, too fast. It will immediately trigger their amygdala. They will feel interrogated and unsafe.
Right, they'd run for the hills.
But by using accessible topics, the weather, a local sports team, the quality of the coffee in the room, you are establishing a baseline of psychological safety.
You are proving that you are normal.
Yes. You are proving that you understand social norms, that you are predictable, and most importantly, that you are not a threat.
So small talk isn't superficial at all. It is essential social infrastructure.
Yes, it is.
It's the bridge you have to build before you can drive the heavy trucks over it.
Exactly. And here's the thing. The most critical component of this infrastructure isn't even what you say. It's how you listen.
Really? Listening is that powerful?
The mechanics of listening are where the actual neurochemical bonding begins.
Tell me more about that.
When you actively listen to someone, you engage a highly complex network in your brain, including your mirror neurons.
Mirror neurons. How do those play into a conversation about the weather?
Mirror neurons are brain cells that fire both when you perform an action and when you observe someone else performing that same action.
Like yawning when someone else yawns.
Exactly like that. They are the biological foundation of empathy.
Oh, wow.
When someone tells you a story, even a really mild one, about sitting in traffic, and you visibly react.
Like nodding or making a face.
Right. You nod, your facial expressions match the tone of their story, you maintain open body language. When you do that, your mirror neurons are aligning with theirs.
They're syncing up.
Yes. And this alignment actually regulates the vagus nerve.
The vagus nerve. Okay, we are getting really physiological now.
We have to, because connection is fundamentally physiological. The vagus nerve runs from the brain down to the abdomen, and a regulated vagus nerve slows the heart rate and deepens breathing.
Wait, you're saying my listening physically affects their body?
Yes. When you listen to someone intently, you literally calm their nervous system. You provide them with the ultimate antidote to the fear of judgment.
Which is what?
The feeling of being seen and accepted. When people feel heard, their defensive barriers just naturally lower. And that is when the transition from small talk to real talk becomes possible.
So active listening isn't just politely waiting for your turn to speak.
Not at all.
It is an active transmission of safety. You are using your facial expressions and your attention to manually lower their heart rate.
That is exactly what you are doing.
Okay, so we have overridden the amygdala. We've sent out our sonar pings about the weather, and we're using active listening to regulate their vagus nerve.
Sounds like a successful interaction so far.
But what are the actual practical words we use to keep this momentum going? Like, we have these linguistic formulas, these phrases we just toss around without thinking, but there must be a science to them, right?
Oh, there is a deep pragmatics to how we use specific phrases to navigate social encounters.
Give me an example.
Take a phrase as simple as, "That sounds interesting, tell me more."
We say that all the time.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
It seems basic, but structurally it does two massive things. First, it validates the speaker's reality, which reinforces that safety we just talked about.
Right.
And second, it shifts the cognitive load. It gives them permission to take up space in the conversation without feeling like they're imposing on you.
It's a green light. You're basically handing them the microphone and saying, I'm not judging you, please keep going.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, as the conversation progresses, we have the transitional phrases.
What do those do?
They are the linguistic pivots that move an interaction from a chance encounter to an intentional relationship.
Yeah.
The classic example is, "We should hang out sometime."
Oh, man. Okay, I have to jump in here.
Go for it.
I have to go on a bit of a rant about we should hang out sometime. Because in our modern culture, I feel like this phrase has been entirely weaponized.
Weaponized. How so?
It is the conversational equivalent of a smoke bomb.
A smoke bomb.
Let's be incredibly honest here. 9 times out of 10, when someone says, we should hang out sometime, it is a polite escape hatch.
That is a very fair point.
Yeah. It is what you say when you want the conversation to end. You want to seem like a nice person, but you have absolutely zero intention of ever seeing them again. It's the fake Los Angeles goodbye, let's do lunch, and then you flee into the night.
You've highlighted the exact flaw in that phrase. It's extreme ambiguity.
It is so vague.
When a phrase lacks specificity, it lacks commitment. And because it lacks commitment, it has devolved into a socially acceptable pleasantry rather than a genuine invitation.
So how do we fix it? If the goal of an adult effort friendship requires honesty, how do we use these tools without falling into the trap of fake pleasantries?
You cure ambiguity with specificity.
Specificity.
Yes. If you truly want to transition an interaction into a friendship, you cannot rely on the smoke bomb. You have to attach a when and a what to the invitation.
Okay, give me an example of how to do that.
Instead of a vague, "we should hang out," you anchor the invitation to the conversation you literally just had. For example, you say, "I really enjoyed hearing your thoughts on that documentary. Would you want to grab a coffee next Tuesday afternoon and talk about it more?"
Ah, I see. You put a specific time and a topic on it, you force it out of the abstract and into reality.
Exactly. You remove the escape hatch. By being specific, you signaled genuine intent.
And what if they say no?
If they say no, or they make an excuse without offering an alternative time, well, you have your answer. And you can move on without that lingering, ambiguous maybe.
That's actually very freeing.
It is.
Yeah.
And conversely, if you are the one trying to exit a conversation kindly but definitively, you need to align your words with your intent.
So don't offer the fake hangout.
Right. You simply say, "It was so great talking to you today. I hope you enjoy the rest of the event."
That is so much better. Honesty really is the foundation of the structural integrity of a new connection.
It has to be.
That makes total sense. Specificity is the antidote to the fake pleasantry. But let's be real for a second. Even when we have the best intentions, and even when we understand the neuroscience and use specific language, human interaction is inherently messy.
It is very messy.
There are glitches, and I want to talk about one of the most painfully awkward glitches in the human experience.
Which is?
Instantly forgetting someone's name.
Oh, yes. That is a common one.
It happens to me constantly. I shake their hand, they say their name, and literally 3 seconds later, it is gone, evaporated.
Just wiped from the hard drive.
Exactly. And then I spend the next 10 minutes calling them man or buddy while sweating profusely. I have to ask, are we just terrible, self-centered people when we do this?
Not at all. In
Okay.
fact, forgetting a name instantly is a perfect illustration of everything we've just discussed regarding cognitive load and anxiety.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm not just a bad person.
No. Think of your brain's working memory like the RAM in a computer. It has a very limited capacity for holding new incoming data.
Okay, I track with that.
When you are meeting someone new, your brain is simultaneously running multiple background programs.
Like what?
Well, it is managing the amygdala's threat detection. It is monitoring your own posture. It is analyzing their facial expressions via those mirror neurons we talked about. and it is frantically searching for an appropriate sonar ping of small talk.
Wow. So the CPU is running at like 99% capacity just trying to survive the encounter.
Precisely. There is almost no bandwidth left. So when the person says, "Hi, I'm Sarah," the auditory information enters your ear. But the working memory simply does not have the processing power to encode that data and transfer it to your long-term memory.
Because it's too busy doing everything else.
Right. It's a buffer overflow error. The name bounces right off because your system is overwhelmed by the social performance.
A buffer overflow error. I love that. So it's not a sign of disrespect. It's actually just a symptom of social overload.
Exactly.
Knowing that actually relieves a lot of the shame. But how do we handle it in the moment without ruining the connection? Because it's still awkward.
You handle it with the exact vulnerability that builds true connection. Instead of hiding it and calling them buddy for the rest of the night, you own the human glitch.
Just admit it.
Yes. You say, "I am so sorry my brain was so focused on making a good impression that I completely missed your name. Could you tell me one more time?"
No, that's good.
That kind of honesty diffuses the tension immediately. It shows humility, which, again, signals safety.
I am definitely going to use that. So we've spent a lot of time analyzing the physical face-to-face world, the eye contact, the vocal tones, the physical presence, but we really cannot ignore the elephant in the room.
A digital landscape.
Exactly. Most of our social lives now exist through glowing rectangles. We have to talk about social media.
It has changed everything.
Because we are theoretically more connected than any humans in history. I mean, we can instantly message someone on the other side of the planet, yet the data consistently shows that loneliness is at epidemic levels right now. What is the disconnect?
The disconnect lies in the evolutionary mismatch.
Mismatch between...
Between how our brains actually evolve to process connection and what social media currently provides. We have to draw a very hard line here between ambient awareness and active intimacy.
Ambient awareness, like just background noise.
Essentially, yes. Social media provides an endless stream of data points about people's lives.
Mm.
You see a photo of your friend's vacation, you see a tweet about their lunch, you watch a 10-second video of their dog.
Right, I do that every day.
And your brain registers this data. It gives you the illusion that you are caught up on their life. You have an ambient awareness of their existence.
I haven't actually spoken to them.
Exactly. And this is where it becomes biologically deceptive.
Deceptive how?
When you scroll through these updates, your brain receives small, rapid hits of dopamine.
The reward chemical.
Yes, the neurotransmitter associated with novelty and short-term reward. But it does not receive the deep, sustained release of oxytocin and serotonin that comes from face-to-face vulnerability, active listening, and mirroring.
So we are getting the cheap thrill, but not the actual medicine.
Yep.
We're basically confusing the menu for the meal.
That is a phenomenal way to look at it.
Yeah.
You are reading the ingredients, but you aren't actually eating the food.
Yeah.
The real danger here is that the ambient awareness tricks your brain's social quota into feeling momentarily satisfied.
So because I saw their picture, my brain thinks I did my social duty.
Right. Because you feel updated on your friend's life, you lose the biological drive to actually pick up the phone, call them, and ask how they are really doing. The illusion of connection actively suppresses the pursuit of actual closeness.
Man, that is deeply unsettling. The very tool we use to stay connected is the thing pacifying us into isolation.
It is a profound irony.
We settle for the dopamine hit of it, like instead of the oxytocin release of a real conversation. We avoid the awkwardness, we avoid the anxiety, but we also starve ourselves of the actual medicines.
Because it is the path of least resistance, which is rarely the path of deep fulfillment. Real conversation requires effort.
Effort friendships again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It requires navigating awkward pauses, it requires the risk of judgment, and it requires the energy of active listening.
Which you can't do through a screen.
No. The text of human history and biology is extremely clear on this. You cannot deeply listen to a photograph. You cannot offer real-time, nuanced, empathetic support through a double tap on a screen. Online interactions strip away the vocal microexpressions and the body language that our nervous systems fundamentally rely on to build trust.
So we have to manually override the digital convenience. We have to choose the friction of the real world because, well, the friction is where the traction is.
Precisely. If you want the biological payoff, the reduced stress, the lowered inflammation, the deep psychological resilience that comes from knowing you are secure within a tribe, you must engage in the physical, messy reality of real-world socializing.
Okay, let's pull all of these threads together. This has been an incredibly illuminating journey through the mechanics of our own minds.
It is a lot to process.
It is. So, To summarize, making friends as an adult is not a magical, spontaneous event. It is a deliberate act of construction.
It requires real intention.
It requires us to understand that our feelings of loneliness are not personal failures, but actual biological distress signals. We have to recognize that our social anxiety is just an outdated tribal alarm system trying to protect us from a threat that no longer exists.
Yes, downregulate that amygdala.
And we have to embrace small talk, not as a shallow annoyance, but as a vital acoustic ping to map emotional safety. We must practice active listening to physically calm the nervous systems of those around us.
The human sonar in action.
Exactly. And perhaps most importantly, we have to reject the seductive, easy illusion of digital connection in favor of the awkward, necessary effort of real-world closeness.
It is a significant undertaking. We are fighting against our own neurobiology and the design of modern society. But the empirical evidence is undeniable. The payoff is quite literally life-saving.
Life-saving, that is a strong word.
But accurate. Strong social connections reduce all-cause mortality. They buffer against depression. They improve immune function. Sometimes crossing that 10-foot invisible wall to make a single good friend can alter the entire trajectory of your life.
It is the ultimate preventative medicine. So to you listening, I want to leave you with a final challenge.
Let's hear it.
Think about your own digital habits. Are you trapped in a loop of ambient awareness? Are you substituting the quick dopamine of social media for the deep oxytocin of real connection? Tomorrow, I challenge you to break the loop.
Just one small step.
Yeah. Find one of those online acquaintances, someone whose content you passively consume but whom you never truly speak to, and use the specific linguistic tools we discussed today.
Be specific.
Yes. Transition them into the real world. Send a message that says, I've loved keeping up with your updates, but I'd love to hear how you're actually doing. Let's grab coffee this Thursday. Make the effort. Build the custom software. Send out the sonar ping.
Because they're probably waiting for it.
Exactly. The truth is, they are probably sitting in their own invisible panic room, terrified of judgment, just waiting for someone brave enough to signal that it is safe to come out. Try it. It might just change your life.